Released in 2001, Alone in the Dark: A New Nightmare was meant to bring survival horror's founding franchise into a new era. Yet 2 decades later, it exists in a strange middle ground, neither fully loved or completely forgotten. This is a game that heavily inspired what we now recognize as survival horror, and yet, as a franchise like Resident Evil rose to prominence, many forgot the series that had inspired them in the first place. When A New Nightmare arrived, it faced the worst possible timing. Was it a misunderstood cult classic, or a relic buried under the shadow of Resident Evil? In this video, we'll examine the game to see what it did right, where it stumbled, and how it influenced the future of survival horror. Breaking into the horror game landscape at this time was incredibly difficult. Resident Evil was no longer just a new release, it was a full-blown franchise, with the original trilogy and Code Veronica already established. Meanwhile, Silent Hill had far exceeded expectations, and Silent Hill 2 was on the horizon, promising to push both narrative and technology further than before. Infogrames felt this was the perfect moment to bring back the series that had helped define that genre. Rather than continuing the story of the original Edward Carnby, they introduced a modern descendant of Carnby, maintaining the iconic name while allowing for a fresh perspective and thankfully a new look. Instead of Heartwood as a second character, we meet Eileen Cedric, creating a whole new dynamic. The game was designed to function as both a sequel and a soft reboot. We have actually mentioned this before in our Alone in the Dark Illumination Worst of the Worst video. By setting it generations later, Infogrames acknowledged the events of the original trilogy while giving themselves the freedom to explore darker, grittier narratives in a more modern horror style. Edward Carnby, a private investigator, is contracted to look into the disappearance of a friend on the mysterious Shadow Island. Eileen Cedric is searching for the man she believes may be her father, though she has no concrete evidence. Their journey begins violently. While flying towards the island, their plane is attacked.
Miss Cedric? Eileen? Wake up.
What? Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Here. You'll probably need this. Do you have your radio?
Yes, I have it.
Eileen, when we get to the island, for your safety, you'd better stay close to me.
My safety? Is there any danger? I was hired to authenticate the translation of the Abcanis stones. I will be working with Professor Morton.
My best friend died because of those tablets. He was killed on Shadow Island. And I swear I'm gonna find whoever did it.
I'm very sorry. Listen, I know Professor Morton's reputation. He's a scientist, a great researcher.
Well, to me, he's just another suspect. We're getting close. Shadow Island.
What was that?
The controls are dead! What's that on? We have to jump!
Both are forced to parachute down, ending up separated. Carnby ends up in the woods, and Eileen is on top of the roof of the mansion. From there, the game thrusts them into Shadow Island's oppressive darkness. The game retains hallmarks of the original trilogy's cosmic horror influence. Ancient texts must be deciphered to uncover the island's mysteries, a shadowy creature defying natural evolution, appearing as though summoned from darkness itself. Gameplay shifts away from the pure point-and-click adventure into Resident Evil-inspired survival horror framework, but it retains the light and dark motif, a mechanic that many future games would adopt with varying success. The game offers 2 distinct campaigns, one for each main character. Edward Carnby's is more action-oriented, requiring the player to fight through numerous monsters. God damn it. That got me good. While Eileen's is more puzzle-focused gameplay emphasizing exploration and investigation. Where a single playthrough provides a full story, experiencing both campaign reveals interweaving narratives behind the scenes, much like Resident Evil 2's A-B scenarios. This duality extends playtime naturally, encouraging multiple playthroughs without feeling repetitive. However, some content overlaps, and certain pacing issues arise from the dual structure. A New Nightmare includes many of survival horror's staples. Fixed camera angles, a nod to the original Alone in the Dark, often mistakenly credited to Resident Evil. The tank controls, which are polarizing but they evoke a tactile tension of classic horror gaming. Innovations include reactive lighting, which interacts dynamically with the environment and is central to monster encounters. This predates games often credited with flashlight mechanics such as Alan Wake and Obscure. Combat could feel clunky, especially when compared to the smoother action of contemporary survival horror titles. However, puzzles were well designed, enhancing atmosphere and tension, though occasionally pixel hunting moments slowed down the pace. The game's atmosphere is one of its strongest points. From the haunting title screen to the detailed layout of Shadow Island, A New Nightmare invokes a darker, more gothic horror than the action-heavy tone of Resident Evil. The game blends Lovecraftian cosmic horror with gothic design, creating a unique feel that emphasizes dread over jump scares. The videos and voice acting are serviceable, looking good for their hardware and standards of voice acting at the time, but unremarkable overall, especially compared to Silent Hill 2, which raised the bar later that same year. Timing hurt the game's impact, releasing on the original PlayStation while the PlayStation 2 was already available. It struggled to compete with shinier, newer titles. Despite this, the lighting and environmental design were ahead of their time, demonstrating what the franchise could achieve if given that proper attention. At release, A New Nightmare received generally favorable reviews. Critics praised its atmosphere and ambition, but noted it was very similar to Resident Evil. Controls felt a little dated, and a limited technical polish compared to upcoming titles. The platform also limited exposure. Most players had moved on to the PlayStation 2. In hindsight, the game is often overlooked. Some view it as a hidden gem, while others consider it dated and uneven. Rarely does it occupy that middle ground. The game's flashlight and lighting mechanics would later influence games like Doom 3 and Alan Wake, showing the lasting impact of A New Nightmare's approach to environmental tension. It marked the last serious traditional survival horror entry in the series before the divisive 2008 reboot. We all know how I feel about that one. Why can I blink in third person? I don't want to fucking hear about how I didn't play the right goddamn version of this stupid fucking game. Because now, there is a video recording of me playing the PS2 version, the Wii version, and the updated PS3 version. I have put more goddamn effort into trying this game than fans have actually playing it. Infogrames' decline and its acquisition by Atari in 2008, later named Atari SA in 2009, effectively ended the original studio's stewardship of Edward Carnby and his stories. Modern reassessment has elevated its reputation slightly as nostalgia and appreciation for old-school survival horror grew. Its ambition, atmosphere, and experimental mechanics stand out, even if the series' legacy is lost in corporate shifts. Honestly, A New Nightmare wasn't a complete disaster. I approached this game very cautiously. What I found was a game that had a level of charm, ambition, and a few moments of genuine, solid horror gaming. Flawed in places such as the insta-death sequences and minor pacing issues, it nonetheless succeeds in capturing that old-school survival horror vibe. Some see it as that cult classic deserving more recognition. Others dismissed it as dated. Shadow Island may have been forgotten, but its darkness lingers, waiting for horror fans brave enough to return. Until that day, though, stay scared, stay curious.